What if I told you that you could automate 90% of your Facebook and Instagram ad management, never wake up to an ad that's overspent a few $100s, and have your ROAS actually improve while working less? I know it sounds too good to be true, but I'm currently managing multiple six-figure ad accounts using a single tool that does exactly this. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you the exact system I use, walk you through the tool that's saving me 20 plus hours per week, and give you the specific information on the automation rules that are preserving thousands of dollars in ad spend every single month for my clients. My name is Alec. I'm the co-founder of Untapped Revenue, and over the past 8 years, I've managed millions of dollars in Facebook and Instagram ad spend for fitness studios. Not only that, but I've been running our own company's ads and grown us to over 7 figures. And what I'm about to show you is the biggest game changer I've discovered for ad management efficiency. Here's what I'm going to cover today. First, I'm going to walk through the new tool that I'm using, Birch, and how it's saving me 20 plus hours per week in ad management. Then I'll walk you through the exact rules and reports I'm using to turn off ads that are wasting money and turn new ads on for testing automatically. Lastly, I'll give you the complete behind the scenes look at my actual automation setup, show you the specific rules that are saving me and my clients thousands of dollars. Plus, at the end, I'll show you how quickly you can build and launch new ads using the bulk creation feature. Let me paint you a picture of what most Facebook advertisers deal with every single day. You wake up at 6 a.m., grab your coffee, and the first thing you do before you even say good morning to your family is you check your ad account. Your heart starts racing because you're terrified that overnight Facebook decided to spend your entire budget on terrible performing ads, even though you set up some of those in-house rules that Facebook allows you to do. Then you spend the next 2 to 3 hours manually going through each campaign, each ad set, checking CPMs, cost per lead, ROAS, looking at frequency, and analyzing which ads are actually performing and which ones need to be shut off. You constantly have to make micro adjustments, turning budgets up and down, launching new creatives to test. It goes on and on and on. I was running a business, managing 80 plus accounts myself, and I was literally chained to my laptop from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., constantly monitoring, constantly adjusting. But the real problem isn't the time, it's the money that I was hemorrhaging while I was sleeping. The number of times I've gone into ad accounts to see hundreds of dollars spent on ads that got 0 leads. This is money that I could have spent on winners or testing new ads. That's when I realized there had to be a better way to make sure losers were shut off early and budget was preserved and used on winners or testing new ads, like I said. Now, I've looked into Hyros, Magix, and a bunch of other AI tools to help with ad management, but all of them cost an arm and a leg, and especially with how we price our services, we weren't able to afford having one of these services for every single account that we manage. Then I found Birch. And before you ask, no, this is not a paid promotion. I'm showing you this because it literally transformed how I manage ads, and I want you to have the same competitive advantage. So Birch is an advanced automation platform that works across Facebook, Instagram, Google, TikTok, and Snapchat. But here's what makes it so special. It goes way beyond the basic automated rules that Facebook offers natively. Let's jump into Birch and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so this is Birch, formerly known as Reveal Bots. And the first thing that you're going to notice is there's this workspace. And so essentially in here, you can organize a few ad accounts that are relatable, I would say. So in some cases, this hasn't really been a super big benefit for us in particular, especially because there's a lot of variety in different account performances. But what's really cool about this is actually this smart feature at the top. And so this is an AI automation that looks at all of your ads and decides if one is basically weak or not. And so you can quickly just click this button. It's going to automatically apply a rule, and it's going to trim and turn off all of the ads that are underperforming. Some other things that this does is it can give you kind of an average that you want to stand between. And so essentially if you're looking at cost per lead, website leads, ROAS, whatever it is that you want to track over a specific time frame. For us, right now it's just cost per lead that we're looking at, but it could be any target value that we want. And then that's essentially the goal, is to stay within that target metric. Other cool thing is, depending on the accounts that you have in here, you're going to see out of all the accounts that you add to the workspace like this, ones that are the most underperforming, you'll also see the average spend that you have, any of the best performers. And then what's really cool is if there's anything that's fatiguing, it'll actually show up here, showcasing the stats of the creatives that are actually fatiguing. And so if they have a really high frequency, if their cost per click is really poor, it'll actually show them up here and it'll pop up. They also show you your best performing creatives, so you can see a full full report of all the ones that are doing the best to give you a little idea. But this isn't where the magic happens. Where I save 20 hours or so a week using this is really in the automations. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do with these rules. And so I don't want to overcomplicate the system, because what Birch does really well compared to Magix, Hyros, and a lot of these other tools is, one, it's very cheap, and two, they simplify it. They don't have all these, different things. They have their key foundation, which is automations and rules, their reports, competitor research, and analyzing kind of your own ads, and then your launching. And so bulk creation tools as well. And so we'll start here with the rules. Just to kind of give you a little overview here of the dashboard, you can organize things by category. So if you want to have different rules in a different category, you can do that. And then within each category here, you can see I can basically organize things based on which team member is managing them, or any kind of other organization structures that you want to have. And so aside from that, you also have different strategies. And so if you come into here, you can see Birch offers a lot of templated different strategies that a lot of high-end ad managers are using. And so you can go through and look at the different structures of how they're doing things. So as an idea here, pause ads with an above average cost per acquisition. I can click in, it gives a breakdown of what it's looking at, and then how the rule is actually structured. And then if I wanted to use this, I could click use this strategy. It's automatically going to import that structure into an account. And then I can adjust it, because, every account that you're going to be using this with is going to be slightly different. Once you start to understand your own account, you can make different customizations and slowly tweak it until you have the rule exactly how you want it. But there's tons of different strategies here for scaling. So you can automatically increase the budget of successful and high performing ads. And you can also turn off obviously ads that are underperforming as well. So a lot of cool things in there. Coming back here, you also have custom metrics. So this is really cool. And one of the reasons I love Birch so much is that I can create, a sheet that shows me the cost per booking, which is really important for our clients. You could also do things like hook rate, hold rate, a whole bunch of custom metrics that you can make. And I'll just show you what this looks like. But essentially you can come in here, you can add, different metrics from your standard meta ones, but you can also do ones based on Google Sheets, which is really, really cool. So they have a tutorial button here to walk through exactly how to set this up. But this is how I was able to make some of these custom metrics with cost per booking, sales, things like that. And so for a lot of our clients, we use high level. And so whenever, a lead comes into the system, they book an appointment, they show up for their appointment, or they become a member. That allows us to track all this data and then create rules based on these custom metrics, which is really, really cool. And so you can basically do things like that. And then custom timeframes. So if you don't just want to have the standard 7 days, last 3 days, etc., you can add in like the last 11 days, 10 days, etc. We don't really use this too much, but it is a feature that they have. And so I'll show you the main ones that save me, 20 hours a week, as well as help most of our clients have successful campaigns when running ads. And so the first is going to be the overarching rule that is going to be turning off underperforming ads. And so depending on your business and what metrics you're really looking for, the key thing here is it's going to turn off any underperforming ads outside of the KPIs needed to stay profitable. So as an example here, this is one that's based on, some cost per appointment metrics as well as cost per lead metrics. Most accounts are going to look a lot different depending on their performance. Some markets are a lot more competitive, and so their cost per lead is a little bit higher, and others are a lot cheaper. And so I make adjustments based on that per account. And so just as an example here, let's say, for this account, the average cost per lead I'm seeing is around that $15 mark, $15 to $10 mark. And so I want to have this overarching rule at the top here, which is if the cost per lead of the ad maximum is greater than or equal to $22, I want that ad to be shut off. I don't want to spend any more than that. I want that to be kind of the overarching kind of metric that I'm looking at. Then I have another one here, which is if a new ad gets launched and there's 0 leads that get 0 leads produced, and I've spent a maximum of $20, I also want that to shut off. Now, there's some other things you could add in, like cost per click variables here, CTR, etc. But this is the one that seems to work best for me. Also, I will just take a quick tangent here. When setting this up, you have these filters here. And so you can set filters based on the ad set, ads, campaign, or the ad account rules. And then you can also have all these filters. And so right now I just have if the ad status is active, but you could also have, based on campaign statuses, delivery, as well as naming convention. So that is a huge one that I'm going to get into in another rule that allows us to automate turning on ads, which is really cool, because if this rule is turning off ads, then what I can do is if, an ad gets shut off and I want another one to be tested, I have another rule that turns on other ads for testing when this rule, turns off ads, so that I always have a standard of 2 to 3 ads running at any given time. And that's how I automate a lot of this. But to get back into the rules, down here, they get a little bit more complex, I would say. And so here we're looking at the average cost per Facebook lead in the last 7 days. And so what we're looking at here is if this cost per lead is ever 1.5 times greater than the ad set average in the last 30 days, it's going to shut them off. So just as a hypothetical, I'll pull up my calculator here. Let's say the average in the ad set right now is hypothetically $5. Okay. If the ad set average is $5 and I launch an ad and in the last 7 days, that ad is greater than 1.5, the average of the ad set, which is $5, that would be if it ever reaches over $7.50, it's going to shut off those ads. Okay. Now in that example with $5 cost per lead, it's really cheap. And so I might want to change this metric here. So instead of it being 1.5x, it's 2x. And so that's just something that you would need to tweak. And then the other thing down here is that I want to make sure the ad set has had at least 10 leads generated before this rule applies. And that's because there's a lot of fluctuations when an ad set starts. It's not really stable. And so you might have some ads generating really cheap lead costs and some generating a little bit higher. And so it's going to kind of fluctuate quite a lot. And so I want to wait to apply this until there's 10 ads running. And in the meantime, I have these other rules up here that are keeping me safe from overspending. This one is the last 7 days I'm looking at. This one's a little bit more proactive, and so it's looking at the last 3 days. And so same philosophy applies. Let's just stick with the same standard. If, the average in the ad set here is, $5, and in the last 3 days, one of my ads ever hits 1.75 times greater, 75 times greater. So if any ad in the last 3 days is over roughly $9, it's going to shut those ads off as well. Okay. And so then I have an even more proactive metric, which is in today and yesterday. And so in this case, I have the multiplier really high. And so this is going to catch really big spikes. And so same thing here. If the average in the ad set is $5 and it ever hits 3x that, if anything hits $15 for an ad today and yesterday, it's going to shut those off as well. Okay. And then I have some other metrics down here. So this is where you can get creative with the rules. So if you're looking at purchase metrics, if you have that data on Facebook, then you can add ROI. You can add return on your ad spend. You can add a whole bunch of different variables here that Birch gives you the option to select between. So like most common here are purchase ROAS, website purchase ROAS, spend, etc. And so you can go through all these different metrics, or you can use the custom metrics if you have those created. And so for us, it's cost per appointment scheduled. So if in the last 7 days, if any of the ads ever reaches over $60 cost per booking, I want to shut those off. Okay. And so that's a standard one. This is just a basic example of what you can do with the rules. And then what's even cooler about this is these rules run every 15 minutes, but you can also have these set to run on specific days and times. Now for these ones, you want this rule constantly running because you don't want ads overspending. And so you always want it running at 15 minutes. And for us, we don't really need notifications every time an ad gets shut off. And so I have this turned off, but you could get an email sent to you every time this rule applied, or you can connect your Slack account and get a Slack notification as well. So this is rule number 1. This basically is turning off any ads that are underperforming. The second rule, and how I automate a lot of my ad testing, is this next rule here, which is creative testing. And so what this allows us to do is we place ads we want to test in the ad set. We can set any number of ads as long as they are paused. Okay, so I basically bulk upload, let's say it's 50 different creatives. I turn off all of them, but the 3 or so that I want running. Then this rule will unpause random ads with the lowest numbers of impressions. If ads start underperforming, another rule is going to turn them off. So that's the rule we just looked at. And then in this case, if there's less than 3 ads running in any ad set at any given time, this rule will apply and turn on one of those ads that are paused. Okay, and so you can see here in the filters, this is looking at all campaign statuses that have active, ad sets that are active, and then just ads that are paused. And then lastly, it's looking at any ads that have the name creative test. And so that's how I allow this system to operate. And so that rule shuts off all the underperformers. This rule looks into the ad account at all those unpaused ads, so the ones that are turned off, that have creative test in the name, and it's going to automatically turn those on when there's less than 3 ads running in the account. And so that's how this rule operates. Okay, so really cool. So now whenever I launch an account with anybody, I basically launch all the different creative tests, copy tests, etc. that I want to run. I then make sure that I have the underperforming rule turned on, and the system is automatically going to turn ads off and turn ads on. And that way it's going to quickly go through it all. Now, how I make sure things are still performing really well and that I don't ever run out of creatives is I have a third rule, which is going to be if there is ever an ad set that has less than one ad running in a campaign that is active with an ad set that is active, I want to be notified in my Slack channel that this has happened. And that way I know, okay, let's say I uploaded 50 creatives and the testing system has run through all those 50 creatives and now I only have 1 or 2 ads running. I want the system to notify me that, hey, there's only 1 ad running in this ad account so that I need to go into it to add more creatives to be tested. Okay, that's the general principle here. And then what I do, because now at this point, the system is kind of operating itself. I don't need to do anything until I get a notification that the ad set has not enough ads running. Then what I do is I have a report. Now, what's great about these reports and why I love Burst so much is that I can check these every other day and get a quick glance at all the ads that I'm managing to see how well they're doing. And so just as an idea here, I'll create a report. I will set this report to deliver. Let's say I want to get it every morning at 9 a.m. so I can quickly scan through to see how things are going. So I can click this and then I'll go back to the editor and I'll add a widget. And so let's just do KPI with timeframes. And so I'll just basically label this the account that I'm managing. So let's just say it's untapped revenue. I'm then looking at Meta. So if you're obviously using Google Ads or whatnot, you can also include those platforms. I'm going to select the ad account that I want to manage here. And then I'm going to basically select any filters that I want here. So in this case, I want to basically filter by active campaigns, active ad sets, and then also active ads, of course. Actually, we'll just keep it active ads as well. Okay, and then the metrics. So depending on what you want to do here, it could be cost per lead. So I'll just do cost per lead here as an example. And then I could also have a couple other metrics if I wanted to. So it could be, let's just do an appointment one. And this is usually what I would do. So appointment scheduled, cost per appointment, and cost per lead. So those could be the main ones I'm looking at. And then I could do the last 7 days. I could also do the last 14 days. And then also the last 30 days to give me a full picture of the trends in an account. Okay, and then I could basically see those trends. And then what I could do here, let's just say we'll just do after at Tempe for right now, or we'll do untapped revenue. Okay, and then I can click add widget. And now this is going to pull that into this report. And so at this point, I can basically create this report with all of this data. You can see we're not running any ads, but this is going to pull in all of this data. And let's just say this is daily ad report. Okay, and then this is going to basically be done for this account. And then I can duplicate this just like this. Come in here to edit it and then change the ad account to another one of these accounts. And that's all you do is you go through that to create that report. And then every single day, you're going to get a Slack notification on these accounts. And so instead of having to jump into each individual ad account, I could just quickly glance at this report, see the accounts that need the most work done, and then jump into them, which is awesome. Okay, so that's the reporting. I could also do Ads Explorer. I can do even more reports. I can look at top creatives to browse through templates to basically see, let's just say last week's best performers. I can select the accounts that I want to see, generate a report, and it's going to show me the best creatives amongst any account that I want. So I could select multiple accounts here, and it's going to give me real details of all the metrics that I'm looking for so I can get an idea of my best performers and recreate those to keep my ads performing top notch. Now, the last thing I'll share with you is the bulk creation tool. Now, what I love about this is you can quickly create a ton of creatives all at once. And so I'll show you how this works. Let's just say I'm going to create, an ad for an account that's existing and I want to bulk upload a bunch of creatives. And so let's just say I go through this process here. I can either upload the files from my computer, I can select a Google Drive folder and basically just upload those. So this, as an example here, let's just say I'm going to be, let's just use these ones. Okay, so I'll upload those. While these are uploading, I can go through the next phases of this. And so because I've already built this out for the client in the past, I already have it templated so that I can quickly create new ads for this account. So as I go through here, I'll basically either do an existing campaign or create a brand new one. So in this case, I'll just do create new campaign. I'll go next. I'll select an audience. And so in here, I could build the audience in Birch, or I can go into Meta saved audiences. And so I can just basically select the audience that I already have saved in Meta. Scroll down, select a budget, select the schedule period, and then of course select my placements. So I could do advanced plus placements, or I could do manual. Optimizations for delivery. In this example, I'm doing this as a link click campaign, but in reality, most of the time we're going to want to do lead generation ads. As I click next, it's going to take me to the ad. I'm going to select the page, select the Instagram account if I have it connected. And then what you'll notice is what I would want to do in this case is have the naming convention creative test. So if you remember that rule that I had set up, all the ads that it's looking at are, have the naming convention creative test. And so I'll just quickly show you what I'm talking about when we go back over here. So in here, we have this rule, right? So it's looking at creative test. Okay, so we're going to publish a bunch of new ads. We're going to turn them off. And then this rule is going to look at them all the ones that have creative tests in the naming convention. And so we want to make sure that this is set up this way. And then we have a custom value here. And so it's going to take the file name of all the different ads that I'm uploading to use that as a naming convention in combination with this. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new creative set just like this. And I'm going to build the ads. And so select from media. So I just uploaded all of these creatives. They're already all ready to go. So let's just say I wanted to select all of these. I would just go through and select them all. In this case, I'll just do 4. I'll add my text here, my headline here. If I want a description, I can include it. And then I would just put a URL just like this. Whoops. Okay. And then we would do our button, learn more. Okay. Just like this. And then this will start to feed us the data. So now I can see what this actually looks like. I can click save. Now I have this new creative set created. I have my pixel connected, my website connected, and then all I need to do is click next. And with a click of a button, this is going to automatically upload all those creatives in real time very quickly. So as soon as I click this, it's going to publish these 4 ads really quickly. And so you can do bulk tests. You can get a bunch of ads created very, very quickly. Just note that when I click publish, it is going to publish all of these ads directly in the account. So once I do that, I usually jump in, turn off all the ads. And then so long as I have 3 running, those rules, one's going to turn off the underperforming ads. The other is going to turn on any of these ads that get added that are unpublished. And that way now my hands are off. I'm waiting for notifications in my Slack channel to tell me I need to add more tests. Or I'm getting notifications from the reports letting me know which accounts are performing or not performing, and I get to look through those every day rather than flipping through all the accounts. Let me break down exactly what this automation has actually meant to my business. Before Birch, it's a roughly 4 to 5 hours of daily ad management. After Birch, it's maybe 5 minutes a day. Weekly time saved is roughly 25 hours. Now that's just how I've been using Birch right now. There's tons of other things you can do with the platform, but it has seriously changed how I manage ads. The fact that I can set up roughly 3 rules that are going to turn on and off ads consistently so that I have new tests running. I have ads that aren't overspending or underperformers that are just spending way too much money. And I have a system that's actually making it easier to see all of the data in the reports so that I don't have to jump into each ad account every single day. Just makes life so much easier. Not to mention, I've reduced the wasted ad spend that used to happen over the weekend or based on human error. And because I know I trust the system and the rules and it's going to automatically adjust things in real time, I can actually take weekends where I don't look at ad accounts. So if you're curious about getting something like this set up for yourself, here's exactly what you need to do. If you click on the link below in the description, you can get started with a 14-day free trial. I would urge you to actually jump on a demo call with them for them to walk you through exactly what you can do with Birch. Then it's as simple as connecting your Facebook ad accounts. You can start with the pre-built strategies they provide, or you can model some of the ones that I have, and then you can gradually build your own rules over time. From there, it's as simple as monitoring and optimizing your automations and checking reports rather than constantly having to check ad accounts every single day. What I will say though is don't try to automate everything at once. You want to begin with basic pause rules and budget adjustments, and then gradually add more sophisticated automations as you get comfortable with the platform. That is one mistake I wish I didn't make, which is trying to put too many rules into place at once before proving other ones successful. Drop a comment below letting me know what part of ad management you struggle with the most, or if you have any other tools that maybe I'm missing that I could be leveraging and getting better results with. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.